Welcome to Careers in the Arts. I'm Brooks Tracy, and I have with me today Chris Sainato. How are you doing, Chris?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us today. So I want to go ahead and get started and jump right into the first question. Please go ahead and describe your job.
Awesome. Yeah. So I am a graphic designer for Vineyard Vines, and essentially I design the T-shirts for men's, and I work with the men's, women's, kids, and some of the custom T-shirts as well. I also work on the ties, and most recently now I'm sort of playing around with the swim prints a little bit too. So I've got my hand in a lot of different things, which is a lot of fun.
Very cool. And could you tell me, what is the average day in the life like of a Vineyard Vine graphic designer?
Well, it's I feel like with most careers, there's a lot of juggling, right? There's a lot of different aspects of the job. People think I just get to draw all day, which would be great if that was the reality, but there's a lot of moving parts to it. I'd say drawing actual T-shirts is probably about 40% of what I do. And the majority of it, a lot of times, is working with production, working with, a lot of my team members to actually let the T-shirts go from concept, from drawing into an actual, product that you're able to buy at the stores. For the most part, though, when we are in that creative mode, we're spending a lot of time doing research, putting together inspiration boards, looking at color, and then also just, diving right into it and, getting to design some pretty fun things.
And how is it determined what projects you'll be doing? Is it specifically assigned to you? Do you actively seek it out?
Yeah, it's a great question. I get that question all the time. So essentially, like, we work on the four seasons, just like, the year. And so each season will be given a location. Now, Vineyard Vines is owned by two brothers, Shep and Ian, and they're very involved in the design process and the direction. I work with them very closely. And they'll come up with a location for that season. So let's say, for example, Martha's Vineyard for summer, let's say. Then from there, if I'm lucky, I'll get to go and travel there. With COVID going on right now, we're not really doing that. But, typically we either take a trip out there or, rely on firsthand stories from Shep and Ian themselves, or, images from the internet, and, draw inspiration from the location. So, I don't just get to go wild, drawing whatever it is I want. There's a lot of guidelines within the location, and also just, what's right for the brand. Being a designer for a company, you have to sort of stay within an umbrella. You can obviously push the boundaries, and that's something that I definitely like to play around with. But for the most part, it's like you kind of know what you're getting into, and then you just do your best to stay on course.
So thinking about that, when you're given an assignment, let's say it's something to do with Martha's Vineyard, like the example you just gave, could you tell me, is it you are the single person that would be tasked with doing that, or is it a group effort? Is there multiple people doing it, and you have to submit them and they pick the one that they'd like to go forward with? How does that whole selection process for the final image work?
Yeah, so we have a design team of about 20 people. Now that encompasses people designing the woven shirts like I'm wearing right now, or the shorts, or the all outerwear, swim trunks, all that stuff, right? So across men's, women's, and kids too. So within that, there's a smaller team, which is like the men's team, and then smaller within that is the graphics team, and I work on the graphics team. So right now, currently, it's just me and then my colleague Chris, who, it's a little confusing, we're both named Chris, but so the two of us work very closely, to put the line together, and we work with our superiors. So I report into the senior director, I think he is, of men's design, and he's involved. We do these check-ins basically once a week. We call them sketch reviews. where we check in, we show them the stuff that we're working on, get feedback. And we also work with our merchant partners, and the merchants, I mean, that's a whole different, like very interesting career, which is very creative, but also very uh, like analytical. Like you have to have a strong math background to sort of like, basically they track the sales of what's working and then give us the feedback as designers based on the stuff that we're currently working on, to let us know if we are like on the right trend with what we're working on, or if we're kind of like falling off a little bit of what they think will work based on the numbers. Like we sort of, as designers, work very much based on like emotion, and they work very much off of actual data and sales.
And you mentioned this with all the different departments of, there's people that are doing the different types of shirts or whatever the different products are. And when I was looking over your website, I noticed that there were 4 areas that it seemed like you made a lot of projects for: t-shirts, ties, hats, and belts.
Mm-hmm.
And I was curious if there's any more that I missed, you can share those. But I was curious, how is the design process different for approaching each of those? Like, how is a t-shirt different from designing a bow tie?
Right. So all right, I work on the graphics team. So anything that has an image or a graphic on it, I have the capability to work on. So if, let's say we do like a really cool raincoat that has a, design on the inside of it or something, or like a hidden detail, or some cool branding on the sleeve or something, I'll work with that designer, because a fashion designer is more, they're doing the actual design of the clothing, where I'm decorating it with artwork. So it gives me the unique ability to work on, like you said, belts, hats, anything that has a little like motif on it. I get to draw that, which is, for me, I love it. To me, I wouldn't really want to be sort of just cornered into one area. So it's nice too. And I have a good relationship with everyone on the team, and if I have a cool idea to accessorize a jacket, let's say, I can just go over, and sometimes they take it, sometimes they don't, and it's just the nature of it.
Do you have any preference for what type of design? Like, do you prefer to do the t-shirts over the others, or is there any preference that you like with assignments?
Yeah, I mean, I think that sort of changes, right? Like when I first started, I really loved working on the ties, um, and I actually got like sort of picked up and put into the t-shirt department, and I was a little bit like, I was like, oh, all right, like I'll have to figure this out, but I was like really, really enjoying the ties, and now I've totally swapped, like it's been a couple of years. I really enjoy working on the t-shirts. It's the majority of what I do, but I mean, like I said, it's nice to have these different things sort of pop up that I can work on that, just keep it interesting. You never want to be stale.
And what programs do you use to create these? Because I noticed, especially with the t-shirt, there's a very common structure to a lot of them, where they'll have, like for the series where it's the large whale on the back, and there might be a different season, or it might be for the Kentucky Derby. And it seems like there's a standard dimension that the design is built around. So
Yeah.
what programs do you use, and how does that process work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, like the technical process for everybody, it's a little bit different, right? Like my colleague Chris tends to like hand draw a lot of things first, right? And then from there, he'll go onto the computer. To answer your question, we use Adobe Illustrator for almost everything. Like if you want to be a commercial artist and any sort of illustration for money, you have to learn Adobe Illustrator, because it's the key to everything. And so we use Illustrator and we use Photoshop. Now, the biggest difference between the two programs, the way it was explained to me, was, in very simple terms, Photoshop is for like editing photos. Illustrator is for illustrating, which sounds very, very simple, but I think a lot of people, especially early on, will jump into Photoshop to start making graphics and drawing things, which is possible. And I do it quite a bit, but you run into some problems with, Illustrator gives you the unique ability to create what's called vector artwork. And vector artwork is essentially artwork that's created by like, shapes. So let's say like I have the whale here, right? This is like a whale sticker. Now, the vector artwork will actually give like a line, right? Like that goes around the whole thing. So then when I send this out to the factory, they know exactly how to cut it perfectly. Where when I send a Photoshop file, or just a JPEG or, flat image that we're used to in everyday life, it's just a square image. There's no mathematical dimension for them to follow and cut and, you know, actually produce it. So, it's an important, uh, difference to note there, but they're both like, those are the two big ones that we use, quite a bit.
Okay. And, I'm going to share my screen because I want to bring up your website because I know you've got a lot of examples of your work at Vineyard Vines. And I wanted to bring this up because it's going to go into the question that I've got for you, which is, are there any designs in particular that you've worked on for Vineyard Vines? And it could be because maybe it was a challenge. It could be because you liked the topic or the assignment that was given. But are there any designs or projects that you would say you're most proud of?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So basically, it's hard, right? We do a lot of graphics. It's very hard for me to just be like, oh, this is like my favorite of all time, right? But there are certain areas that I do enjoy working on. So we call them the character whales, and I think if you keep scrolling, you might run into some of them. But essentially, it's where we take our logo. Yeah, like there's one there. Like for Halloween, I made a zombie whale. For Shark Week, we did a whale shark. And they're just fun. This is like a dad grilling whale. Like they're just fun to work on. Like, to me, what other company takes their logo and dresses it up into a fun seasonal thing every year? It's just I don't know. I just take them and run with them. Sometimes we throw them in a boat. So I like working on those. They're just goofy. And then sometimes I like sort of pushing the envelope. Towards the top there were some script logos, and those were new basically. We hadn't really jumped into anything script before. I kind of pushed the envelope a little bit.
Was that something that you came up with the idea and presented it to them and just pitched it yourself?
Yeah. Yep. I mean, it's something that you see out there a lot. It's kind of difficult to get it right. So that t-shirt right there, actually, that red one, that was my first t-shirt that I ever did that got into production, which I was pretty excited about that one.
So that one's got a special
pretty
place,
standard, just a flag whale, but it, at its time, it was the number one selling t-shirt, and it was my first one. So I definitely started off hot.
That's awesome. I always think anytime you slap the American flag on something, it'll probably help with the sale value.
Oh,
yeah, these are very cool.
Yeah. So, they're a lot of fun. So that one too, if you go back, that white t-shirt, basically this was part of a series. I think I only have one of them on here, unfortunately, but of these kind of posterly illustrated designs, which, again, was kind of new for the company. It was an idea I came across. I try to go down to Art Basel every year down in Miami, which if you guys ever have the opportunity to go, I definitely recommend it. It's the best artwork in the world. And, you guys are lucky being in Florida that it comes right to your state.
We did a large lesson on that last year because of the notoriety of the banana artwork.
Yeah. I was there for that.
I had a banana taped up on my wall in here. It was a great conversation. It's a great leaping off point for just the thought process of what is art? How do you define art?
Exactly. I was standing. So I don't know if you heard, but somebody ripped the banana off the wall and started eating it.
It wasn't you, was it? I did hear that.
No, but I was standing right next to the guy when he did it.
Wow.
Everyone was just like, "What on earth is this guy doing?" But wow, he's an artist on his own. He's a performance artist, so that was his whole thing. And, so yeah, it's very, very interesting. The world of art is pretty wild.
That is very cool. So yeah, these are great. And so here's another example. These for the Kentucky Derby shirts when they come out. Could you tell me, because I can't see the dates, do you do different variations for each year, or is it there's one design per year?
Yeah. So every year we're, building on and developing further into, what we had done the year before. So, like that gambling whale there is a great example where, we had done a dressed up whale, and then the next year we had a whale that had the ticket, and then this year now he's won and there's cash in the air.
It's great. Yeah, because
So
it's a perfect example of what you were just talking about. It's the standard logo and outline that you've got to work with. And not only what's always so amazing about these is that you're taking a structured, very flat graphic, almost simple design of the whale. It's seemingly one color with an outline. And you just
yeah.
do such a great job of adding so much character onto it in a
Mhm.
two-dimensional flat form.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking like behind you there. You have the like Florida Gators logo there, and it's like,
Mhm.
imagine if like, the Gators just for Halloween they dress them up, or for, it's like it's a great class project for your kids too. It's like, take a standard logo and run with it and dress it up and take it to the next level, and um, just have fun with it. I think that's like the biggest, like one of the best things about working for Vineyard Vines is it's just a fun place to work. It's a great atmosphere, and it's supportive of kind of wild ideas like this.
So let me ask you this. Do you ever get tired of seeing people wearing your artwork?
No, I definitely don't get tired of people seeing it. I still actually get excited when I see people wearing it. The other day I was out on my friend's boat and another boat had crossed by and I saw a guy wearing my shirt, and I like said to everybody, I was like, I designed that guy's shirt.
Yeah, do you ever yell to the person, I designed your shirt? They're just
No,
like,
but if I'm
yeah,
with
yeah.
my mom, she does that. You're never too old for your mom to embarrass you. I was with her once and she like stopped this kid and was like, my son designed your shirt. And then their mom, this was like a little boy, and their mom had me autograph the shirt with like a Sharpie out of her purse. It was for me, I was mortified, but the little kid was excited.
And looking at these, it's really funny that you're saying that too, because I have a lot of students. Vineyard Vines is an extremely popular brand, down in Florida, especially
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
have
of
a coastal
course.
town like this. And I'll tell
Yep.
you what, with my students, I've seen a lot of these specific designs that you've got in my
Right
class.
in your classroom.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So they look great. So here, let me go ahead and I will stop sharing because I want to ask you, since your job is so interesting, and I'm sure there's people hearing this and they're thinking like, wow, that's so cool. I love this guy's job. Could you tell us what is your educational background that prepared you? And can you tell me, how did you come to be in this position?
Yeah, it's a great question. So essentially, like my story is that, like you're teaching middle schoolers, right? When I was in middle school, I was not thinking about becoming a graphic designer. I had always like enjoyed art, like in middle school, I took art classes, um, had fun with it, but never really thought much of it, right? Then in high school, um, I didn't take a single art class. The high school that I went to, we had an arts block where you could either pick if you wanted to do music or you wanted to do studio art. And I had been playing the drums since second grade, so I was just in music. So then, I graduated high school and was still like enjoying sort of doodling on the side and stuff, but not really thinking anything of it. And actually, I guess before I graduated high school, my first taste of like apparel design or graphic design was I played football and I was one of the captains of the football team. And we were all given different responsibilities like for the season, right? Like one kid's family was responsible for the like end of the year banquet, and another kid's family was responsible for, I don't know, like the pregame meals or whatever. But my responsibility was the team's apparel. So I was like, all right, cool. And I remember like grabbing my notebook, like, and just sort of like doodling out some ideas of, and I think I actually have it. Hang on, right in my little sweatshirt bin. Uh, so I did this layout, which was kind of like pushing the envelope a little bit because the school logo here, those cursive A's, have other text and other things going around it. But I basically extracted I thought it was cooler just to have that part and come up with like the text layout for the top. And I think the school was a little mad at me that I kind of messed around with the logo a little bit. But now when I go back as an alum, they use this quite a bit. And then I also like wanted to do the back, and the back, like you guys can't really see this, but it's called tackle twill. So essentially this is like jersey, like they're like sewn on here rather than just printed. And I took a lot of pride in that and worked with was on the phone, like calling these different vendors to try to make them happen. And it was just a really cool process. So that was like my first time really like being like, like this was fun. Like I worked on this design, put it, gave it to my teammates, and they all loved it too. Everybody like never took the sweatshirt off. So it was a cool feeling. I still feel that same way when I see people wear, when I was on the boat the other day, I saw the kid wearing my shirt. It was the same exact feeling as seeing my teammates wearing the hoodie that I worked on. So, and then, all right, then I go into college, and I went to Union College in upstate New York, which is a small liberal arts school. It's about 2,500 kids, and didn't really know what I wanted to do. At the time, I was still playing football. I was kind of focused on that, and I was going to be a psych major. But part of my like football schedule was, coming in freshman year, I wanted to have a kind of light fall term because like it was college, it was new, I was playing sports. So, being like just sort of thinking, I was like, oh yeah, I'll take this design fundamentals class. Like how hard could that be? It'll be nice and light. And I took it, and I found myself spending hours and hours and hours in that studio because I would just get lost in my projects. Like she would give us a project to work on, and it'd be like Friday night, and all my friends would be out, doing college things on a Friday night. And I'd be in the studio, like losing track of time because I was just enjoying myself so much. So, I took more and more art classes. And by the time I finished my second year of school, you have to declare your major. And I remember going to the chair of the art department, and I was like, look, like I think I want to be an art major, but everyone says don't be an art major because you're not going to make any money. And I'll never forget it. He said to me, he was like, Chris, if our graduates didn't get jobs, I wouldn't have a department. And I was like, that's a great answer. So I had him sign my sheet, and I was officially an art major. So then I graduate, and luckily, so basically with any career, doesn't matter if it's art or anything for the most part, aside from if it's really specialized, like networking is massive, right? Like the friends that you make in school, the friends that you make out in your social life outside of school are very, very important when it comes to just any kind of, opportunities down the road, whether it's something that you can provide them or that they can maybe provide you with. So I had a friend at Union who was a year older than me who was working at Vineyard Vines. And I had been applying just through the website like everyone else, didn't hear anything back. I was applying to like Ralph Lauren and Brooks Brothers and like, Patagonia out on the West Coast. I was applying all over the place, but I knew I wanted to be in apparel. And so I reached out to my friend Kate, who was working there, and I was like, hey, Kate, I sent an application a couple weeks ago. I haven't heard anything. Do you know anybody like, over there? And she's like, yeah, like that. So the next day I had a phone call, or like, she connected the dots. The next day they called me, and then they hired me as a freelancer at first to try out for the job just to make sure that everything, was smooth. And then I got hired, and now it's been 6 years, which is pretty crazy to me. But
that's awesome, and it's always great to hear the evolution of how people got the job, because we do so much where it's how we started, what is the job, what's the details, what does the whole job description look like, what's it entail. But the really fascinating thing is to find out how'd you get there. And that's just, I really appreciate you illustrating that for us, especially not only with where your interests developed, but also the context you were able to make, how the process worked, kind of like the stepping into the position. And that's just a really great explanation for students to hear. And, even if it's not an arts related career per se that someone may be interested in, one of the things that I really want to get across with these videos is that it's really about taking something that you have a passion for and being able to find what professions there are out there that center around that.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's so many people that get caught up in, I want to earn a lot of money, right? It doesn't matter what you know, like you can make a lot of money doing anything. If you're passionate about string beans, you know, you could go and open a huge bean farm and make a ton of money doing that. You know, like if you're passionate about artwork, you can become a great artist and make a ton of money doing it. You know, you can go work on Wall Street, yeah, make a ton of money. If you're passionate about it, great. If you're not, I don't know how you do it, you know, because it's like, I think people get too caught up in that. And it's really like, you know, finding like, all right, what am I interested in? What do I like to do? What gives me that feeling of, you know, oh, that's so cool, you know, and like just diving into that.
Yeah, there's a great quote by Billy Joel where he says, if you're not doing what you love, you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
And I can tell you really love your job. And you know, you are such a talented artist with the work that you produce for Vineyard Vines, but also on your website. And this is something I want to touch on. I wanted to make sure we touch on before I get you out of here.
Yeah.
You are an extremely talented artist in doing your own artwork. So one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I shared was, before we get you out of here, you have got a very unique style of artwork, I should say. So let me go back up here and just show your paintings here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just curious. So we've got these pieces here, like the
Yeah.
Beatles. You've got some football. I can see you're using imagery of a passion that you have. You mentioned you play football, but could you explain how you create these beautiful works of art?
Yeah. So I think this part of my career is like very much in its infancy, in my opinion, you know, and maybe I'm being hard on myself, but I think that like, if you scroll through this, you'll see that there's a lot of similarities, but a lot of like, it's kind of all over the place at the same time. You know, I think as an artist working for yourself, it's very difficult to sort of find your brand. You know, when you're working for a brand, it's very easy to design into. I know what they want. I know the expectations. You know, and I can create it. But when you're, you know, doing your own thing, it's a lot of trial and error and a lot of, you know, just playing around with it. Now, the consistent thing throughout all these, for the most part, is the backgrounds, right? So I really like just, you know, digging up whether it's vintage comics or vintage New York Times. You know, I have a couple like of these like really old bound books from like, I think one of them's from 1922. You know, but they're like, you know, I find them on eBay and, you know, I'll purchase them. And to me, it's really cool having the background sort of tie into what's going on in the foreground, right? So it can either be like super obvious, like these books here, you know, or sometimes it's a little bit less, like, you know, I'll do like a biography, you know, or, you know, where the images all sort of like just bring it together. And so you're asking like kind of how I'm doing it. I'm actually at the beginning of doing one right now. I can go grab it.
Okay. Yeah, and as you're getting it, I could say this reminds me a lot of the Jasper Johns American flag piece, where when a lot of people see the digital image of it online, it just looks like a very texturized American flag. But if you
Yeah.
ever see a high definition image, or if you get up real close, you'll see that he used newspapers, articles, things like that at the time. So it's almost like he's showing you this flag of America. And then when you get up closer, you can almost kind of make out these snapshots of America during that time he created. It's very similar to this background that you're describing here, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, you know, and like most recently I've been trying to play around with collage even more, you know, like trying to do less painting, more collage. Because for me, like as a graphic designer, you know, I think I'm most comfortable on the computer, you know, like I like painting, but for me, I really like to like all these paintings, every single thing you're seeing on here always starts out on the computer for me. You know, I'm not blessed with the ability to just sit down at a blank canvas and just go, you know, like I wish that I was, but like I always have to like map it out first in my head because the computer is much more forgiving. There's the undo button, which at my job interview with Vineyard Vines, they asked me, they're like, what's your favorite Illustrator shortcut? Like trying to like sort of make sure that I knew the program. And I was like, Command Z, undo, because like everyone makes mistakes and you know, like you just got to be humble about it. It's like, you know, sometimes you got to go back and redo it. So
Here, I'll go ahead and stop sharing.
just
So you
painting
can...
right on the thing doesn't give you that. So essentially right now I'm working on one, you know, where they wanted like the Washington Nationals won the World Series in 2019, and they want basically, you know, a painting going on top of it. So I just did this last night where I just applied the newspaper that I got off eBay, and I use these wood panels because I put a resin coat over top of it. I can try to show you a finished resin piece.
And is that a piece in the background that you're working on as well, the of the building?
Oh, yeah. That's Ernest Hemingway's house.
Oh,
But,
very cool.
yeah, so you can see how glossy this is, right? So that's it's a resin coat that I put on that basically, like, it really just, it seals the whole piece. It just elevates the whole thing. All the colors pop a lot better. The blacks are deeper. The sheen is really cool. And it's just practical too. If you like splash on it, you just wipe it right off.
And you do the paint? Do you do the painting over top of the newsprint before you do the resin on top?
Yeah. So it goes newsprint, paint, and then the resin.
That's awesome. Yeah, and they're beautiful. They are really, looking through your work, you've really got some very, very impressive work on there. I'm sure the scale even helps it even more.
Yeah. And then that Beatles piece that was on the site there, that was the biggest one I've done by far, and it's outdoors. So I was doing paper collage outdoors. So I had to do a lot of research to make sure that the whole thing wasn't just going to melt away the first time it rained. So, and I still, anytime I'm in the neighborhood, I drive by and check it just because I'm like still a little bit, but I put some pretty heavy duty coating on there. So hopefully it'll be good.
Very cool. Well, thank you very much for sharing not only your personal artwork, but also the great work that you've been doing for Vineyard Vines. And since this is a video that's aimed at a middle school audience, the last question that I've got for you is, as you've just reflected on your career and taking into account all the life lessons that you've shared, what advice would you like to pass along to the next generation of designers?
Oh man, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, it sounds a little cliche, but I would say just like have fun with your artwork. Like don't be. I think the biggest thing, like people get really shy with what they make. Like I've had lots of people be like, oh, I'm not going to come and like draw with you. Like if I invite them over, right? Like I'm not going to draw in front of you. And I'm like, why not? Like, like be proud of what you make. And everybody has their own style. So it's like, have fun with it. Understand that, whatever you're making doesn't necessarily have to like, good art doesn't just mean that it looks exactly like the thing that you're looking at. That's one style of good art, but there's all sorts of good art out there. And it's like just having fun and not being afraid to make mistakes and, just run wild with it.
Yeah, that's just a great life lesson for everybody too. Just make sure that you're being true to who you are.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. I really appreciate you taking the time to share all of your artwork and your life experience with us. And I wish you the best of luck. I can't wait to see more of your next wave of artwork walking around in my classroom on my students' apparel. So I would just like to say thank you very much. And I hope you stay safe and keep up the great work.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.